Good afternoon. This is the South San Francisco podcast. I am Rich Lee, your assistant city manager, as well as the podcast host and producer. I am very honored to have Mayor Eddie Flores here as our guest. Mayor Eddie, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Rich. Thanks for having me, and welcome to everyone listening, to our audience tuning in to the South San Francisco podcast. It's really exciting to be able to share for the next few minutes a little bit and have a great conversation with you as well, Rich.
So one of the things that I respect and wanted to highlight for our community is we are a city of firsts. And I believe you are the first Salvadoran-born immigrant to be mayor in the entire San Francisco Bay Area. And I wanted to provide an opportunity for you to share your experience about coming to South San Francisco and how that's kind of shaped your identity in being mayor of the city.
Yeah, thank you. You know, we often fall into these places and firsts, I like to say, not because we planned them or we chose to be the first or we had a strategy to be the first, but it shouldn't be that way, to be honest. I should perhaps maybe be the 10th or 12th, right? Definitely should not be the second Latino or of Latino heritage mayor in South San Francisco. But it really comes down to that identity, purpose, and a sense of leadership. And I think the opportunity lends itself. I think we're living in such a very different time. I think back of what would it have been if I was mayor in 2000 or in 1991 or in the 80s, etc. Not that I was, able to be mayor back then, but it's such a changing world. It's such a changing time. Geographically, demographically, culture-wise. I think the United States and locally here as local jurisdictions, we're faced with many different challenges. And it serves the purpose of identity for me, the fact that I am a Salvadorian-born immigrant, that I was one of the first in my family to graduate from college, that I came and arrived to this country not understanding or speaking a word of English. All these have shaped my leadership in a particular way. I was speaking with a former student that now has gone on to greener and amazing pastures, is about to enter law school after she clerked for a Supreme Court justice. And I was letting her know how it's important to understand where we're coming from, because the lived experience that I lived as an immigrant, both as a child as well as a youth, have allowed me to understand how to advocate better for the communities that we serve. And I'm not just saying advocating for immigrants, but advocating for the community in general. The voters, the residents, the jurisdiction, and the constituents who are concerned about and passionate, very passionate, about different topics and themes that are both interrelated to government and outside of government. So my identity, my upbringing, the fact that I have been honored and privileged and very humbled to be the first Salvadorian-born mayor in the history of the Bay Area, because there are other mayors, at least I know two in the East Coast, serving in Virginia and in the state of Maryland, who also are Salvadorian-born. And I, again, hope not to be the last. Absolutely, right? Continue to mentor and serve our communities and support pipelines that allow the opportunity for individuals like myself to absolutely know that they can one day be in leadership, in public service, in politics, and have a seat at the table.
Thank you. And you mentioned one of your former students, so I know part of your career has been in education. Can you talk about your arc of kind of being in education and then being on the South San Francisco Unified School District Board and then making that decision to run for council, and what was kind of your motivation and interest in doing that?
I think it comes during the course of an individual's life that you get presented with various opportunities and skill sets that you develop over your learning. Never did I believe, or I attributed to the fact that I was a Sunday school teacher's aide, that would put me in a path as a lifelong educator and a teacher. I always loved to impart knowledge train mostly and show folks, but more in a mentoring more than a skills setting. It was more of you can do this as well. Let me motivate you. Let me connect you with the right individuals, or let me share some resources. After college, I spent a year for Teach for America in the elementary school system in the East Bay. That opened my eyes to a lot of the needs. Also working in a school district that, frankly, at that point in time was struggling financially. And coming in as a junior educator, I got to see the need that existed, both to be able to have mentors that gave opportunities to students like myself that perhaps for one reason or another don't have the resources, both financially supporting and otherwise. And took it upon myself to really explore and open that a little bit more. As I, continued on my professional path, I got an opportunity again to once again revisit the education aspect, never leaving it, of course, always wanting either to serve as a coach, soccer. I'm not too good at baseball, but definitely good in soccer, and be able to give back, mentoring programs for youth in high school and staying connected. And that brought me again to teaching and being able to now at this time impart knowledge and be an educator at the college level, both at Skyline College as well as at San Francisco State University. This was during the transition that I saw a lot of injustices happen as part of the educational system. I would say shockwaves that went through as part and as a result of the COVID pandemic in 2020. The voters of South San Francisco chose and voted as a at-large member, serving the South San Francisco Unified School District when I was elected in 2018. The school district represents a large majority of the North County, serving South San Francisco, parts of Daly City, parts of Colma, and parts of San Bruno. Never did I see myself as being in a decision-making governing body, but I knew that I needed to advocate. And when folks told me, coming from serving as a commissioner on the South San Francisco Parks and Rec Commission, that my advocacy was needed, that I was someone that folks wanted to hear from, and that my passion for education and also for youth development and learning was also an important asset that I brought as a candidate back then. Wasn't too sure that the public service realm was in it for me. I mostly was about community and giving back, but indeed it was about representing the unrepresented. And when the election came about and I saw the election night results, that the residents, the voters of South San Francisco confided in me as a previous and current educator to be able to serve on a body that made decisions essentially and continues to do so for our unified school districts. That meant a lot. That weighed a lot because it was a very strong, important responsibility, not only for the students themselves, but for the staff, the educators, the administrators, and the families. They're literally entrusting the lives of their youth, the education of our future leaders, current leaders, in the hands of a decision-making body such as the school board. Felt extremely privileged. It was a great time. It was a very interesting, different time. As I repeat, we were all literally flying and building the plane as we knew it. It wasn't a time that we had templates or etc. It was the innovation of figuring out what a Google Classroom was, what Zoom was. Now everyone takes it for granted and says, what's the Zoom link? What's the Zoom meeting? Oh, I can meet you on Zoom. But being able to be in rooms where we had to decide how are we going to train teachers that have been teaching for decades how to transition and move their classrooms to online and virtually. And also, the other factors, the many hurdles, I would say more than factors, that affected our families, connectivity, not being able to be in a room where it lent itself to be a learning space, perhaps because it was a multi-use, crowded living room shared by many other individuals in that family unit. And of course, many insecurities, housing insecurities, food insecurities, safety insecurities, health insecurities, healthcare, access to education, and also understanding that there were indeed lost learning days, and that weighed heavy on me, not just for the folks that didn't have the resources, but across the ranges, everywhere from TK to our graduating seniors, what those experiences would be like. I will tell you that all of that was a very powerful learning experience for me, and it added to my public service toolkit, I like to say, because it enhanced my opportunity to be able to advocate and see policy making and decision making at an hour of crucial need, and how we needed to take action and hope for the best, but of course doing it in a way that always benefited families and the community that we serve.
And I think the arc that you've described is a good segue to the things that you've been passionate about here in the city. I know one of the programs that has your signature on it is Every Kid Deserves a Bike. And I know you wanted, a more active opportunities, resources for our youth. But can you tell us, I know it kind of started with a conversation between you and the former city manager, but how it's been in place for nearly 4 years now. And what was your inspiration for that?
It's always inspiring when I talk about its beginning, and Every Kid Deserves a Bike. It's indeed one of the, I would say, programs that came out of the federal ARPA support funding that came from the federal administration to local jurisdictions to aid with pandemic recovery relief. This was a literally an idea that came about because employers were wanting to do team activities with their employees to, again, coalesce and bring back those that were working remotely and those that were sort of working in person, and wanted to have opportunities to engage. And I remember getting those emails and saying, hey, do you guys have anything that you could help us engage either through your Parks and Rec department or otherwise, or are there any organizations that could host and do a team activity? And at that point, I had come across some information about building tricycles, and it was kind of, interesting. I don't know how many, tech or biotech employees want to get together to build maybe 2 tricycles. If perhaps that's not their area of expertise, but it kind of triggered other opportunities where we said, well, why would we limit tricycles to a smaller, kind of taller population? Perhaps we could look at it in a bigger picture, in a bigger sense. And that's when the conversation and really the aspirational dream of envisioning a day and time where we would be a bike friendlier city here in South San Francisco, and where our community could be placed in enriching the lives and the education experience of our youth by providing them a vessel or a vehicle such as a bicycle. It also was personal to me because I remember being, I guess it was the honor society back in middle school. And as you gotten a certain type of GPA, you were given a certain type of honors, etc. I remember being my name was put into a raffle because it was the small group of folks that had earned a GPA. Believe it's a 6th or 7th grade, and I won a bike. And it was for me, I had at that point never really won a raffle prize. And I remember calling my dad and having, first of all, to be excused from class to go to the main office to place a phone call to my dad. And usually you get a phone call to your parents when you're behaving bad or you're about to get suspended, but this was different. And I remember that the guidance counselor there at the middle school being able to be so proud and just beaming of joy. And of course I was over the moon because we needed to figure out how to get my bike to where I was going to go after school. So I remember that feeling, and I said, you know what, I could replicate that feeling not once, twice, but maybe 1,500 times. And so we have. And I'm extremely humble that this absolutely has not been in a vacuum, or it's not my work. It takes a lot of folks that have leaned in and believed in this. Everyone from state legislators, county legislators, agencies, nonprofits, bicycle advocates, and of course our wonderful city staff and CERT volunteers and community members, as well as our South San Francisco Unified School District partners, teachers, principals, the school board, the superintendent, all really rallied around to make this initiative a true success that continues to be, and I hope that it continues to serve its purpose for years to come. One of the feel good, I like to call them, initiatives, but there's other initiatives that as policymakers we've understood that there is a need. And I always talk about how there is a lack of nonprofit organizations in North County, here in San Mateo County. And for that, the city of South San Francisco had to, in a way, take it upon itself to be that first city that piloted a lot of programs. And we saw that happening in 2020, 2021, 2022. The Guaranteed Basic Income Program, the Promotoras program, Shop Local program. I think there was also, it started as a pilot program, embedding a clinician within our police department. All of this because there weren't any others. The cavalry wasn't coming to South San Francisco. We had to step up as leaders, as policymakers, and indeed create pilot programs. And I like to say we're kind of a city of pilots, because we do pilot a lot of programs and we do master plans a lot, but we do them with an intention. It's not just because we're twiddling our thumbs and not having work to do, but because we see the need. And the vision is that as the city grows, we lead the way once, perhaps twice, maybe 3 times, and then we turn it over to an agency or an organization, or really a grassroots driven nonprofit that could then carry on that work. And that's really at its core, because it's the people that know really know the best that an organization can carry, and they are the ones that know best what we need in our communities, in our neighborhoods. So as we flush out these pilot programs, it's always important to understand that it needs community involvement, community support, long-term funding as well, because obviously the city is not set up, it's not structured in a way to just create programs just for the sake of creating, because it's also a little dangerous when you get into that kind of routine. The need does not go away, granted, but we also have to be strategic about who we partner and who we bring in. Even with our community events, that's also the same type of thinking. The engagement, it has to be there, it has to be resident, neighborhood driven and led. And I believe we'll get there. We'll get there indeed. But it's been a fun time being able to address. I mean, it's always a fun time when you have money, right? How can that not be fun, to be able to decide where to appropriate it to? But it's also intentional to understand that the impact that we make will last a long time, hopefully. But it's also being cautious as policymakers, like I said, that we do it with intention and with the right amount of data to back it up, because we're not just going to provide programs and create programs for the sake of creating. We need to understand that where our dollar goes, it's definitely making an impact, and we're moving the needle on things. So policy making, these programs that I've been really honored and privileged to be a yes vote on, have really impacted and I believe transformed South San Francisco for the better in the last 4 years.
One of those programs that comes to mind, and I attribute that to you, is Clean SSF. You and I had a conversation on the dais about that, and it's exactly what you're talking about, where, okay, we have city staff and we partner with members of the community to come out to and try to clean up as best we can, giving tools and resources, but we can't do this all the time. And we're looking for members of the community, as community-based organizations, volunteer organizations, to basically take it over. Like, we've kind of come up with the blueprint. Here's some resources that the city can provide, but it's a lot of city staff, it's a lot of city resources to make it an ongoing thing. It's just not sustainable. So looking for those folks to take it over, because it's a great program. I've had the privilege of partnering with you on a lot of those events, and it's something that we want to continue. It's just we can't do it on our own.
Thank you for saying that. I'm an individual, a leader that likes to think of solutions-oriented ideas forward is what really brings the communities to grow and grow in a positive way. I truly believe that here in South San Francisco, we have many, many leaders that perhaps are not at the level where they could execute or lead because for whatever reason they feel they're not ready to lead. But in our neighborhoods, in our residents, we have a lot of very strong leaders with capable ideas that could execute a neighborhood watch program, for example, a Clean SSF program. In San Francisco, many neighborhoods, neighbors get together on Saturday mornings and clean around their neighbor. They don't go to City Hall, downtown San Francisco, and ask the mayor and the board of supervisors to come out and clean. Granted, different jurisdiction, very different population. I get it. We're more small town feel. But the leadership is there, right? The creativity to be solutions oriented and ideas forward is there. And I think that's inherent of us as a community to think about South San Francisco as an opportunity to be able to give back. Many folks say give back, but it's not just writing a check or giving $1 or donating to a GoFund. It's being able to show up when an idea comes about, when a program is started. There's several programs that, again, the city has led. For example, improving public places, which is, again, something we wanted to see our parks and our roads and our city beautified. But this could be another, potential opportunity for a nonprofit, and it has. For example, it comes to mind the new environmental nonprofit Rise South San Francisco, that now they partnered with our city's Park and Rec department to plant trees. So now it's not just us saying, let's go beautify and provide more canopy. And we know the benefits that does to the environment and to the city. It reduces heat and warmth over a city. But also now there's a nonprofit leading that work, and we don't have to be necessarily spending our financial dollars to be able to carry that. And it's a partnership. And I think many of these programs could continue to exist in that capacity, in that vein. But again, I think it's important for everyone to know that you can indeed be a very strong contributing member, a contributing resident of our community by participating in these programs, by encouraging, by showing up and doing whatever little bit means to you to help improve and continue to make positive change happen here in South San Francisco.
Another one item I wanted to cover with you is the Cultura Fest. And I would consider that as a part of our overall Cultures United process.
Yes.
And we've had a number of events happen over the last couple of years, from the Pride event to the Women's Leadership Conference. There's ways, and there's so many, we're such a rich, culturally rich community. And this is just another one of the opportunities for our community to engage with one another, to recognize our rich heritage. But I wanted you to get an opportunity to talk about the event that's coming up in a couple of weeks.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Saturday, August 23rd from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's a free event. Everyone is welcome. All are invited. Bring out your friends, family members, neighbors. It's a free event. Even though it has a lens to celebrate and uplift Salvadoran heritage and Central American as well as South American communities and cultures, Cultura Fest, meaning Culture Fest, fest for festival, really stems from the premise of culture surrounds all of us at every one point in time in our life. Whatever culture means to you, however you interpret and define culture to be. It could be your culture, your cuisine culture, if you're a foodie. It could be your music culture. It could be your heritage and your upbringing. It could be your language. It could be the culture of your hobbies. Cultura Fest is an uplifting and a celebration of all of that come together. You do not have to be Latino or Spanish speaking or understand the Hispanic cuisine or culture or music. Although, how can you not enjoy the music when it's a nice environment and a fun community-based atmosphere? But really, like what you said, Cultura Fest is also a culmination in the next level of our Cultures United initiative that was also brought back when I first joined council. The current representation of the city council that I'm so privileged to serve here in South San Francisco also is very inclusive and diverse. For many of you that might not know or that are listening, I am also part Chinese, and that even elevates a whole other conversation, which I love to share with folks when I get the chance to. My great-grandfather, having immigrated from China to El Salvador, have the pictures, have the stories, have the family relatives that tell me often how that has enriched our upbringing as well. So being able to serve in a council that has different lived experience, diversity of thought, diversity of perspective, diversity of knowledge in the different industries that we all serve, also really is a true projection of what South San Francisco is. We pride ourselves on being kind of a legacy, quote unquote, mom and pop, small town type of community, but we also celebrate the changes, the innovation that also life science brings to our town. The industrial city is not going away. I tell this to a lot of folks throughout, outside of South San Francisco as I travel and represent the city. We're not going to change the name on Sign Hill. We're very proud to continue to be the industrial city and serve in that capacity. But it's also important to continue to understand that we do not live in a city of fear. With everything going on at the federal level with immigration and all the activity that's happened, I want the community to be uplifted, to be celebrated, to know that they here in South San Francisco, we value the contributions of immigrants. Immigrants make a really core number of our residents of our community, and not immigrants that just, many folks say, well, they haven't been here a year. I'm talking about immigrants that have been in South San Francisco for 40, 50 years or more, decades, that have established roots, that families have, contributed to South San Francisco through businesses, through being employed here, through being educated, through going to school here. So those are the communities, those are the families we're looking to uplift and celebrate. So I do invite everyone to come out, Cultura Fest, Saturday, right in front of City Hall, 400 Grand Avenue, 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. It will be a great signature event this August.
You said a key word there, which made me think of something. So this is your first term as mayor, and we're kind of wrapping up towards the latter part of your year as mayor. If you were to look forward maybe a year from now, and you think about the things that you were able to accomplish, you and the council, during your year as mayor, what would you think, like maybe one or two things you wanted your legacy for members of the community to remember you for during your year as mayor?
I've always thought about legacy usually happens when folks retire when you're 80 years old or 90 years old and you're ready to write a memoir or whatnot. But in this capacity, I will tell you that I am, even looking back at the 5 years now that I have been on city council, I look back at some initiatives that we stepped up and we were the first ones to say, absolutely, we need to do it. One of them, of course, being the Guaranteed Basic Income Program, where we really saved a lot of lives. I will tell you that. A lot of individuals had that extra oomph that otherwise they could have probably felt miserable and gone a different route that wouldn't have been healthier for them. Another one, it's the catalytic converter program that I also created back when everyone was getting their catalytic converter stolen. I didn't just sit on my hands. I went and researched it and looked at what other cities were doing. And at that point, it was a little jokeable, but partnered with 3 auto body shops here in South San Francisco that were local, and they agreed to. And we were etching the VIN number to the catalytic converters in case they were stolen. At least we were doing something. The lines were out the door. I mean, those business owners thanked me afterwards, not only for the partnership, which I also thanked them as well, but also because they got potential customers later on. They developed relationships, but there were other individuals from other cities. There were police chiefs. The news media was reaching out and saying, Councilmember Flores at that time, tell us more about the catalytic converter etching program and how did it get started? What you're seeing? And again, when I look back in years to come, I want to make sure that I can proudly say we made South San Francisco safer. The one question that I often ask residents when I first meet them, the second one, because I often ask them, how long have you lived in South City? Second one is I say, do you feel safe here? And many times, undoubtedly 100%, they will say yes. They'll tell me ideas that they think could be improved, and absolutely they're welcomed. But no one has ever said, oh, it's so dangerous. It's so scary here. And that really speaks to what I want the legacy to continue. And it all kind of surrounds itself under the premise of improving the quality of life. What is the legacy that I want to leave here in South San Francisco is to be able to say my quality of life has indeed enriched because I am a resident of South San Francisco, because of the good, sound policy decisions, because of the events, because of the programs, because of the resources, because of the community nonprofits, because of the great parks, the opportunities to raise a family, to be able to walk safely, bike safely, drive safely, have public transportation, all the elements that constitute strong quality of life. I think we have them here in South San Francisco. A lot of individuals have recognized and said, hey, South San Francisco is an exciting place right now. There's a lot of change. What they're really saying is it's safe and I would like to live there. And I want that to continue. And I hope that that continues to remain a strong legacy, not only for me, but for future elected leaders that serve this city.
So some of our community members may not know this, but your leadership does not stop in South San Francisco. You have other leadership roles, one with the League of California Cities and also with the National League of Cities. Can you talk about your experience in those leadership roles and how those kind of lend themselves back to you being just a great leader here in South San Francisco?
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. You know, when one understands its purpose in life, one draws on that as part of what we were talking about earlier before, identity and leadership. And my leadership is a gift that I have been given, and I choose to impart that gift with other individuals and groups and in opportunities that I have. Again, it goes back to my mentoring roots, that I like to ensure that others at different capacities have also the opportunity I have been given, and shared it and really paying it forward. And with that, I've been privileged to be able to hold these positions again, to serve San Mateo Council of Cities as their chair, president of the Peninsula Division of League of California Cities, which covers San Francisco all the way to Gilroy, 37 cities, which their respective mayors vote for who the incoming president. So last year I was elected by a majority of these mayors. And what it means is really amplifying and advocating first and foremost for South San Francisco. And what I mean by that is painting the story, explaining the picture of what really happens at the local government level, at the local level of a jurisdiction, what things are working for our residents and what things are not, what perhaps Sacramento or other legislators or policymakers think that might happen. I talk about this a lot, how it's important to always come back. And I see that in our congressmen and in many statewide electeds. They keep coming back to their district to really touch on the stories, to really hear from their constituents. And that's important. And as I lead, I also bring these stories with me, and I also share, how is it interpreting? How is it coming down to the practical, to not the theoretical, but is it really going to impact cities at this level or the other level? And how could we chart a path where we continue to support, for example, infrastructure? Again, tying it back to improve our quality of life for our residents. How do we continue to provide housing? How do we continue to sustain transportation options as our city continues to grow? So as I'm learning as well, because I attend workshops and I'm always kind of hungry and have appetite for what other cities are doing, I know that South San Francisco is very different from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, or any other jurisdiction that could be similar perhaps in doing a program. I'm not looking to replicate a program identically to how other cities are doing it, but really grab ideas and shape something that could potentially work here if we modified it for our city, for our county, for our region as well. So my leadership is kind of 50-50. I learn, I take of what I could learn and bring back and support and advocate, whether it's for seniors, whether it's for youth, for parents, community overall, safety, infrastructure, transportation, housing, programs and services, or also be able to mentor and encourage others that are, again, looking for a program. Hey, Eddie, how did you just start Every Kid Deserves a Bike? How are you funding your infrastructure, pedestrian roads and bicycle lanes, etc.? So be able to give as well as to learn from others is really at the core of representing and being in these leadership roles. And of course, creating a pipeline, right? I don't want to be the last one to be have representation from South San Francisco, and I definitely feel very encouraged that many of our state legislatures, our legislators as well as our congressmen, former mayor here in South San Francisco. So South San Francisco, also our former mayor Rich Garbarino, having served as president of the League of California Cities, former mayor Carol Matsumoto, chair of the Transportation Authority. We've always been in leadership roles because definitely good leaders do exist and have come from South San Francisco.
I'm reminded of a conversation with Cal City's executive director, Carolyn Coleman. And, speaking of the power of lobbying and having organizations like Cal Cities to advocate on our behalf, she and I had about a 30-minute conversation. We were talking about our favorite topic, the VLF shortfall.
Yeah.
And she reminded me, she says, SB1 actually took 10 years to come to fruition. SB1, providing an inflationary measure for gas tax revenues to actually increase, because prior to that, they were flat.
Yeah.
And so they were really dependent on consumption behavior from combustion engines and whatnot. And having that since, I believe, 2017, but they were working on that for a decade. So I didn't know that before.
Yeah.
It speaks to the importance of having organizations like Cal Cities, and great that South San Francisco has a representative and representation in that organization.
Absolutely. Advocacy is at different levels. I always like to say we need to be advocates wherever we go and wherever where we feel strongly or passionate about. We've been very successful recently moving stuff through the state legislature with our elected representatives as well. I think at a regional standpoint, I think everyone recently heard the opting in of San Mateo County to the regional transportation measure, which will bring funds for Caltrain as well as BART and be able to support programs so that we can continue to fund other pedestrian initiatives or pedestrian focused for bicyclists and other programs such as that. So that funding doesn't go away, but primarily, of course, it's to be able to support these transportation agencies. What's important about all of that is the advocacy and the lobbying. Another key bill that just moved forward that will benefit South San Francisco is the Community Facilities District east of 101, to be able to lobby to clean up a loophole that would potentially open up millions of dollars for road infrastructure, and to be able to create a safer, continue to support the employees as well as visitors, as well as families, bike riders, pedestrians as well in our east of 101 corridor. So these are, I would say, not in a vacuum, because they're all supporting each other, again, for the quality of life purpose of our residents. But it's important that we also participate and have a voice at the table, and perhaps if not at the table, put pen to paper and be able to send letters. And I think many folks say, but what do you feel like so excited about being mayor, or what's one role? I will tell you that as mayor as well as president of the Peninsula Division of the League of California Cities, I have put pen and paper to work. Advocating, putting letters forward, supporting, so that other elected officials, colleagues of mine, understand where South San Francisco is and how important and detrimental, whether it's a funding, whether it's supporting other organizations that are helping us do the work, or other grant proposals for other partner agencies. It's important that we don't stay silent. And I think that's been something that I've been very privileged, very honored to be able to sign on to letters and support letters and directly ask for it to do, for folks to take a second look at that bill or that funding proposal. And I think it has gone a long way, and it's been successful indeed.
I wanted to pivot to something that is one of your strong suits, which is community engagement. Even though I know the answer, I wanted to offer the community a chance to hear the many ways in which you engage the community. I know there's been many town halls, cafecitos, What are some things that you take away from all these opportunities for members of our community to engage with you?
Ever since, I guess, part of being an educator and also a student has been looking back at experiences where I learned the most and I engaged the most. And I remember the classes that I was just talked to or talked at were the ones I dreaded, and I did not look forward to ever being in that classroom again. The classes and the instructional programs where it was engaging either group work or doing circle or getting to know individuals one-on-one and sharing stories and life experiences, those are the professors and the students, classmates that I still remember up to this day. As a mayor, as a leader, as a policymaker, as a public servant, I want to offer that also to my voters, my constituents. Town halls serve a purpose, perhaps when it's a large dominion, or you want to get to a large number of folks at one time. Here in South San Francisco, going back to the small town type of vibe community, I felt that creating cafecitos, which means coffee in Spanish, is an opportunity to get to know individuals personally on one-on-one basis. I'm not opposed to town halls, but I think town halls is more, you're speaking to a group, you're speaking to a stadium, you're speaking to a large classroom. No one really will get to know me, and I don't get to know their particular need, interest, story, experience in that type of capacity because of timing, logistics, etc. But the cafecitos, the engagement also with through written communication, whether it's social media, Instagram, Facebook messaging, or even through the mayor's weekly newsletter, these are opportunities that I often, find very effective. Individuals have said, "Hey, I read your newsletter. I saw your video on Instagram. Thank you for this. Thank you for that invitation. It reminded me of X, Y, and Z." And even in our cafecitos, it's not just literally drinking coffee. And I literally have a notepad and a team member, a staff member that is writing everything down, and we're following up. Tell me your address, tell me your name, give me your email. I'm following up on Monday morning about it. And that's also something that I'm very proud as a mayor to be able to say I have taken at its core to prioritize constituent requests as my number one job as mayor. Whether it's communicating back or responding, "Hey, we're looking into this. We weren't aware," or let's do a little bit more analysis and research. I have to, thank you and Sharon Reynolds and the entire department heads and the wonderful staff here in South San Francisco for being able to be so thorough in following up and investigating. And when a constituent writes to me as mayor or, shares their thoughts and complaints, we're also responding back to them as well. So I think all these are ways to communicate and improve the communication. For many years, individuals have often felt some type of cynicism towards government, or not feeling that they can be trusted, or no one responds, etc. But I can tell you that when it comes to issues of safety, issues of improving, issues of being, again, solutions forward, motivating with ideas that really are going to move us forward as a city, those really take priority. And constituent relations is also a very important aspect of this role. And I encourage everyone to continue to come out when we're, intermingle, or you see me around town, to say hi, let's talk, let's have productive dialogue and productive conversations. And the next one, I believe, is coming up in September, another cafecito we will be doing here in South San Francisco. Come out, enjoy a cup of coffee, and let's build community together.
Kind of to dovetail off of your cafecitos, are other events that we have meant to inform, to educate, to engage with members of the community, and that is our Citizens Academy.
I will tell you, one of the most exciting times when I was I believe it was right before I became a Parks and Rec commissioner, if not during, was really partaking in signing up to our Citizens Academy. It was very exciting for me to really understand how our local government in South San Francisco operates and getting to know everyone individually. I remember being super excited to be meeting the different folks, and they were sharing their role and their experience, how they got to be the department lead or in their role serving the community here in South San Francisco. So I do encourage individuals to consider applying if your time allows it. It's a really rewarding. Not only are you learning about South San Francisco and meeting local leaders and department heads and city staff, but you're also building a cohort of friends amongst yourselves within the group that is also participating in the academy. Other opportunities that we have coming up with a few more trainings and workshops to ensure that our business leaders are aware of the changing policies within immigration so that they know also how to respond. And of course, we continue to ensure that residents stay connected with each one of the council elected representatives within their district, again, through town halls or any other workshops and opportunities. Coming up also, aside from Cultura Fest, we have other cultural celebrations happening, a concert in the park. Everyone looks forward to that happening in September. But it's also very exciting to have some open calendar spots for whatever also can come up. Usually great ideas come from residents themselves when they want to hear from you. So it's always important to be flexible and stay open to opportunities to further engage in other ways as well.
So I wanted to wrap things up with a little bit of a rapid fire.
Okay, let's do it.
So this being your first term as mayor, what has been like the thing that has surprised you most about being in that role?
Oh my God, the number of times people want to invite me to coffee and out to eat. No, I'm joking. I do get a lot of that. So I have to watch my consumption there. I will tell you that the amount of, I would say a lot of people say, well, meetings and emails, I think that's kind of expected, but the connections that I have made has been very surprising. I knew that I was going to get to know a lot of more individuals, but really connecting with new individuals that have said, "Hey, I read about you," or "I knew about you. I'm very proud to be your constituent, to live in South City," or others that say, "Hey, can I take a picture?" Right? It's always that I even kind of double check myself and I say, they want to take a picture with me. Wow, that's pretty awesome. And that's not just to be vain, but it's also kind of underscoring the fact that when you do things that you're passionate about, that you care about, people also connect with you. And of course, why not be able to have a picture of someone that cares for you, for your family, that's doing the good work to improve the quality of life in the place that you live. So I'm always enriched. I'm always excited to be able to connect with new folks, especially those that have lived here for many years, those that have recently moved into South City also, asking them what's their favorite place to eat, what's their favorite coffee shop. And again, letting them know that we're accessible here. That's something that I want to make sure that folks know. I mean, the reason why I'm here doing this podcast with you is also so that folks know that, hey, we're reachable. We live here in South City. Many folks don't sometimes know that as elected officials representing the city, we also are residents here too. So that has been kind of a group of new experiences that I would say I've been kind of it's kind of been new for me as mayor this year.
So if we check back in a year, what's one change that you would like to see in South San Francisco?
Again, I think I go back to cleanliness. I go back to safety. I want to make sure that not only our downtown, Old Town corridor, but all of South San Francisco continues to stay as a clean, beautiful city. In whatever aspects and ways that we can continue to improve that. I want to be able to also support our businesses to be able to thrive. I don't want to see businesses close down or move away, as well as our residents. I don't want our residents to feel that they can't live here, can't afford here, and feeling displaced. So two of the future kind of projects that I'm moving forward to and leading on, championing, is our anti-displacement work that the city is considering and we're looking to implement in different policy recommendations, as well as our property-based business improvement district in downtown. These are two very important key aspects that I believe will significantly impact South San Francisco for the better, to improve the feel, the vibe, the quality of life, supporting our businesses once again, as well as so that folks are not leaving South San Francisco. I don't want to see businesses leave. I don't want to see families leave. I want to make sure that they feel secure, supported, and safe. And these are programs that I look forward to making sure that they're successful in future iterations and implementations of policy recommendations that we'll be making, and looking back to make sure that they are well sustained and supported as well.
And last rapid fire question.
Okay.
If you had to pick one person, locally or nationally, that you look up to for leadership inspiration,
I will tell you that it's individuals that are also first, either in their family or first in their role. It's individuals that lead with boldness and with determination, that unequivocally aren't afraid to speak up. Especially right now, it's individuals that will roll up their sleeves, take off their tie, take off their suit, whether it's an elected state legislature or a state senator, or anyone that has confronted. I will tell you that it takes true boldness and leadership to stand up to someone that's not saying the correct thing on a mic or in a public forum. Senator Alex Padilla showed everyone bravery, showed everyone courage, showed everyone that even as elected officials, even as a federally elected official, as a U.S. Senator from California, it was not okay to just sit on our hands and say, well, I'm going to let someone else speak and provide false or misguiding information. We need to hold each other accountable. And the leaders that hold each other accountable, that show transparency, are those that I look up to right now in this time and age. And they serve in various modalities, different genders, different positions, but it's those individuals that are not afraid to lead are the ones that are encouraging me and motivating me to continue in this beautiful service that we call public service.
So Mayor Eddie, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. Really honored to have you here, and thank you for sharing your insights with our community.
Rich, it's been fun. Thank you everyone for listening in and tuning in. Look forward to many more episodes here in the South San Francisco podcast. If you have any other ideas or suggestions, we definitely welcome them. If you know of anyone else who would be an excellent guest here, being able to interview by Rich, please let us know. Reach out as well. Thank you everyone for the opportunity to be able to be here and partake. Thank you, Rich, for your leadership and serving as a great host in this podcast. And we look forward to many more in the years ahead.